Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. We're getting ready to kick off the NFL season this weekend. My San Francisco 49ers are going to be traveling week 1 to play Pittsburgh. The Steelers over at Heinz Field. We're coming into this season pretty heavy favorites to be traveling to the Super Bowl this year. I think that they're definitely in the top 5 of teams that people really think are built to win it all this year. It's been a long time. 1995, the Niners beat the Steelers. No, I apologize. The Niners beat the Chargers. I was probably like in 8th grade. I watched the game. I don't remember a lot of it because the Niners really won hands down. I think they won like 49-10. Somewhere in there. I've got memories of the Niners going to the Super Bowl playing against the Ravens. I got them, playing against the Chiefs. Of course, that was only a few years ago, but I don't have the real memories of my guys, pulling the trophy, and being, the team that everybody's looking at is like, damn. And this is the year. I think it's really going to happen. I don't want to say it's make or break. We're definitely going in with, some question marks. The biggest one as of right now is probably Nick Bosa, getting him into, I don't even want to say into camp, because we're basically just trying to make sure he gets on the plane to fly to Pittsburgh. They got a few things to work out. How much of the deal is going to be guaranteed money. They got to figure out, it seems like they're off about $2 million a year, and some other things. He wants to be one of the highest paid defensive players. Debatable. Aaron Donald is someone that, has spent more time in the NFL. When he got his deal, he had a little bit more of a story and some stats behind him. Bosa's on the last year of his rookie contract. He definitely is looked at as one of the best NFL players. If I'm the Niners, I want to lock this guy up. I want no chance of this guy leaving. It looks like he's going to be a mainstay. We got him in a luck deal where Garoppolo got hurt. We really didn't win many games that year. It was like we accidentally went into tank mode, and he made our team a whole lot better. And you definitely want to get him in there. So the Steelers went through this with Watt a few years ago, where basically he didn't sign his deal, I think, until like 2 days before the season started. So every morning I wake up and I'm looking at it, I'm like, damn. Last year, our rags to riches story, of course, Brock Purdy saved our season. He's coming in off of his injury. He did play in some preseason games, so I am looking forward to him sort of like picking up where he left off. But in the back of my mind, I gotta wonder, is he going to be seeing teams for a second time who aren't going to be surprised by him? I think that definitely he came in last year. He wasn't heavily, he wasn't like heavily recruited or scouted. Maybe, his scheme that the Niners run and what he does to emphasize his strengths, it really wasn't, tape worthy and practice, and it's going to be heavily looked over this year. So maybe that surprise factor won't be there. And Jimmy G now being with the Raiders in Las Vegas, we just gotta hope. You know what I mean? I believe in this guy. I really put a lot of faith in him last year, and it hurt when we made it to the NFC Championship game and he got hurt. It sucked, and it really sucked having to see him go back out there and hand the ball off and get hit when he basically was playing, one-armed, and it wasn't his throwing arm out there. That really, really sucked. Other question would be George Kittle right here. He tore his groin early on in camp, and he's not really 100%, not really known. He's questionable if it's going to be he's playing or if he's sitting. I would love to have him out there. He missed a few games last year, and we were able to get through that. But any game having Kittle out there, We really went out there. I think we drafted 2 tight ends in this draft. So it's almost like we're looking forward to seeing what happens with Kittle in his career. Moving forward, we can't keep all of these guys. And football's a business, and it sucks. I hope that Kittle's a long-term solution for the Niners, but I don't know. This draft kind of looked like it really wasn't. That was what it was going to be. Niners, I mean, anywhere you look on offense, they're really built. I mean, Pro Bowl, huge check in the backfield. Right there with him is going to be McCaffrey as well as Eli Mitchell. Eli Mitchell is just coming back from an injury. It looks like he's going to be 100%. Some people even are picking Christian McCaffrey to be Offensive Player of the Year this year. Definitely looked at as one of the highest running backs taken in most fantasy drafts out there. The wide receiver group led by Deebo Samuel, followed by Brandon Ayuk. And, when I'm watching these games and I see the ball in Juan Jennings' hands, Juan Jennings is like my favorite wide receiver out there. I'll tell you the truth. I've got more Brandon Ayuk rookie cards that I know what to do with. So I really love to see him become sort of like the number one guy. I don't want Samuel to leave, but I just want Ayuk's numbers to be number one wide receiver numbers out there in the league. A lot of rumors thrown around last year that, they would trade Ayuk to try and get another piece for this team, and I'm really glad they didn't. Offensive line is something that I'm heavily going to be watching over. Of course, it's always going to be led by Trent Williams, looked at as one of the best linemen in the league. But we lost a few pieces, and we're going to have to see, what we can do to keep that together. Niners defense, really, really stacked. I love this team. It's going to be Nick Bosa signing that deal and getting back on that line. But you've got Kinlaw, you've got Armstead, leading that line. You got Fred Warner, one of the best linebackers there is in football. Definitely Hufanga is, one of the best strong safeties there is in the game. But cornerbacks, I would love to see us find a way to get better at that position. We'll have to see what we do from there. I don't know what's going on with Jake Moody. I don't know if we brought in another kicker from week 1. He missed a few kicks in the last preseason game, as well as read that he had some sort of an injury, and they would be bringing somebody in to try and see if we can get a kicker for week 1 to get him through so he doesn't start in the hole in his NFL career. We drafted him, what was that, 3rd round? I think we picked Moody, which is really, really high for a kicker, but it was the guy that we wanted. And you got to get through the lumps with the rookie kickers. You don't really see a whole bunch come right in from college. It's almost like they got to go kick somewhere else, at home, and wait for some of these, aged veterans. That's normally what the Niners do. They go pick up somebody's last 2-3 years in the pros and just ride it out and just find the next guy. Steelers, of course, they're led by Kenny Pickett. I'm always a big Mitch Trubisky fan. I'm not going to be out there rooting for us to knock Pickett out of the game. Trubisky sort of got a bad run there in Chicago. That coach, flat out, he sucked. Mason Rudolph, the biggest question mark there is in football. He sort of was picked to be the next quarterback in Pittsburgh. He's still there, but Roethlisberger didn't really hand over the reins to him. It was almost like whatever happened between him and the Cleveland Browns and that whole fracas sort of ended his career almost. So I don't know. For a while, people were talking like he was going to be the guy. Najee Harris as well as George Pickens leads this offense. Doesn't really matter who's going to be on the Steelers defense. It's going to be led out there by TJ Watt, but one way or another, Steelers always turn in a good defense. It's always one of the strongest there is out there in the league. I think this is going to be a year we have to start strong. We have to start this with a win. We have to go 1-0. Last year, yeah, we lost that game to the Bears, but it sucked. And it took us a while to get the gears running. Of course, in the Carolina game is when Lance went down, and then Jimmy G came in, and that was sort of like they picked us back up. It was almost like we remembered who we were when that took our offense over. So I want to start strong. I want to start 1-0. I think that's what's going to happen. Niners versus Steelers. Let me know what you guys think, but I think we got this one. Peace out, guys. Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. We are watching the San Francisco 49ers and the Pittsburgh Steelers, and we are at halftime. This isn't going to be a long, drawn-out video, but basically this is just the Niners in the driving seat. And I'll tell you, the Steelers put together a drive to end the half, and if it wasn't for that, we would not be having a football game out here. Honestly, Kenny Pickens and the Steelers, they weren't doing anything right. Up until that point of the game, I believe they had, a negative, yards on the game. They had 2 rushing yards. They had a negative receiving yards, and they just weren't able to put anything together. They didn't have a first half or a first down until the point of that drive, and they were able to drive it 95 yards to put the ball in the end zone. That brings us to 20-7. Brock Purdy looks like he's just in the driver's seat, 14 for 21, 150 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, both of those to Brandon Ayuk, who has 5 receptions on the day. Debo also has a quiet 4 receptions for 45 yards. But that put us up, 20-0. Besides the fact that, our kicker drew a delay a game on his first extra point of the season with Jake Moody. We're going to be all right. I mean, we got a team. We know who we are. We just need to jump up on teams like this, and we got to stick with it. Pittsburgh, if they were doing anything right, in that first half, consistently was put pressure on the quarterback. Definitely that offensive line is something that we're going to have to look at. There's always going to be somebody in there who gets hurt along the way, but as long as that line can stay together and stay strong, that's the one weak point we have. We're just so fast, offensively, defensively. We look set, and we should be able to get back, control the ball. We're going to get the kick after the half, and just keep driving down the field, keep putting points on the board, and win this football game. Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. That was a morning football game. That was one way to start off an NFL season. San Francisco 49ers 1-0. We weren't able to say that last year. Of course, we dropped that game to the Bears. But, man, we ran into a Steelers team that just didn't seem like they were on pace. They had a good drive in there right before halftime, but they never really got it going to really set the stage for a real football game here. So the Niners, second half wasn't really that fun, I guess you can say. Niners scored 10 points in the third and fourth quarter, but we really had that one sewed up at halftime, and that's the way, it's not going to make for the best game. You're not sitting on the edge of the couch chewing your fingernails, passing on the chips. But damn good day. Niners win 30-7, start off 1-0. Feel bad for Jersey Jerry, feel bad for Kenny Pickett. Steelers, honestly, probably the number 2 football team that I root for in the NFL. I think Tomlin is a hell of a coach, and he's going to find a way to put this together. The man's never had a losing season in the NFL. One heck of a team. But the Niners just looked like they were too good today. Nick Bosa, who was a big storyline going into today's game, getting his deal signed to stay with the Niners and, re-up and extend that rookie contract, became the highest defensive player in the league. He played about half the snaps out there. The storyline that people were saying was, T.J. Watt did the same thing a few years ago, held out until right before kickoff the first game, and ended up, going out playing the whole first game, but ended up getting hurt. I believe it was in week 2 or week 3, and the Niners don't really want to do that. We've gone through a year without Bosa, and the team's just really not the same. Brock Purdy, 19 for 29, 220 yards passing, 2 touchdowns to Brandon Ayuk. McCaffrey had the big run, 22 carries for 152 yards. Feel bad for Elijah Mitchell. Sort of got lost in the shuffle there. Only 5 carries for 10 yards on the day. Deebo Samuel ran the ball twice. not the biggest fan. I mean, the play works, but Debo should be out there, trying to set up the pass. And anytime you have Samuel out there, it's going to make a guy like Brandon Ayuk or even Juan Jennings look better out there. So that's really the play that I look forward to seeing go there. So player of the day, probably going to be Brandon Ayuk with his 2 touchdowns, but Christian McCaffrey with that big run. I mean, it sort of showed why people were still picking him as a top pick in their fantasy picks from here. I just want to keep seeing football like this, man. It's going to be looking good. So hopefully we can start our winning ways, go on a little bit of a streak to start the season. And, hey, 49er football, always fun. Peace out.